What if I told you that every struggle, every contradiction in your life was not random, but part of a greater cosmic design? That the darkness you fear and the light you chase are not enemies, but reflections of one divine rhythm. Today, we're diving into one of the most powerful and mind-expanding laws of the universe, one that governs both your inner world and the outer cosmos, the law of polarity. Get ready. What you're about to discover could change how you see everything. Imagine the universe not as a collection of random events, but as a perfectly choreographed symphony, a cosmic dance where opposites swirl around each other in perfect harmony. Light and shadow, joy and sorrow, order and chaos, all seemingly in conflict, yet deeply interconnected by one ancient truth, the law of polarity. This is the fourth Hermetic principle, and it reveals something profound. Everything has its opposite. And yet, those opposites are not as different as they seem. Everything is dual. Everything has poles. Everything has its pair of opposites. Opposites are identical in nature but different in degree. This striking quote from the Kybalion isn't just poetic, it's foundational. It tells us that at the heart of existence there is balance. Not balance as in stillness, but dynamic equilibrium, a flowing shifting spectrum where one pole slowly transforms into the other. Let's begin with the basics. Think of hot and cold. They feel like total opposites, right? But when you look deeper, they're simply varying degrees of temperature. One flows into the other depending on where you are on the scale. The same is true for light and darkness. They're not separate entities. They are gradients of the same essence. Without darkness, could you even recognize light? This is the essence of polarity. Opposites are not enemies. They are partners. They define each other. They need each other. And this principle goes far beyond physics or temperature. It weaves itself through every layer of reality, through your thoughts, emotions, decisions, and relationships. Let's take a moment to explore this principle in action. Have you ever experienced deep happiness? Think back, was that joy more profound because of the pain that came before it? Often we don't appreciate peace until we've known chaos. We don't understand freedom until we've felt confined. The contrast gives meaning. In spiritual growth, the law of polarity plays a pivotal role. The light of wisdom cannot be seen without the darkness of ignorance. The soul's awakening is only meaningful because it arises from sleep. Just as dawn is born from night, personal evolution is born from discomfort. And here's the secret: these opposites don't just coexist. They are inseparable. They are two sides of one cosmic coin, flipping endlessly through the experience of life. So why does this matter? Because once you truly grasp this, life no longer feels like a battleground of extremes. Instead, it begins to look like a divine balance board. Your emotions, your challenges, your victories, they're all part of a sacred design inviting you not to take sides, but to find your center. Understanding polarity empowers you to embrace wholeness. It helps you realize that fear doesn't have to paralyze you, it can alert you. That sadness isn't a weakness, it's a gateway to deeper joy. And that failure, it is not the end, it's the other face of success waiting to be revealed. Even in mundane tasks, this law quietly governs. Consider cooking. When you apply heat to raw food, you're enacting polarity. Cold becomes warm. Uncooked becomes cooked. If there were no distinction between hot and cold, no transformation would ever happen. No growth, no flavor, no nourishment. In society, polarity also expresses itself vividly. Take political systems, conservatism and progressivism, right and left. These ideas may clash, but at their core, they are two forces striving for the same goal: balance. One preserves, the other pushes forward. And when both are allowed to engage, intention dialogue is born. Through that, society grows. Too much of one, and you have stagnation or chaos. But the dance between the two, that's where evolution lies. Nowhere is polarity more intimate than in the human heart. Love and fear, expansion and contraction. One opens you up to connection, while the other warns you to protect yourself. One says you are safe, the other screams, run. But neither is good or evil. They are responses, instincts, teachers, and together they are the root of every emotional experience you have ever had. Hatred and passion, another powerful polarity. Both are fueled by intensity. Hatred repels, passion pulls. One seeks to destroy, the other to create. yet both can burn within the same soul. Ever noticed how love can turn into hate? How passion can slip into obsession? It's the same current just flowing in another direction. This is the alchemy of polarity, not avoiding one side but transmuting it into something higher, turning fear into courage, grief into compassion, resistance into surrender. Let's go deeper. Life and death, perhaps the ultimate polarity. We fear death because it seems to end life. But what if it's just a transition? Just as winter prepares the earth for spring, death gives life its urgency, its beauty. Without one, the other loses meaning. In every breath you take, this law is at play. Inhale, expansion, exhale, release, remove. Every decision too reflects polarity. When you say yes to one path, you say no to another. Choosing focus means rejecting distraction. Choosing healing means letting go of pain. And in these small polarities, we shape the course of our lives. The law of polarity also whispers in the background of your spiritual choices. Choosing mindfulness over materialism. Choosing solitude over noise. Choosing self-awareness over superficiality. None of these are easy. They all ask you to leave something behind. But that's the dance, the rhythm of the soul, finding its higher resonance. In truth, there is no absolute good or evil. No ultimate right or wrong. There are only poles and your place between them. That's what makes life dynamic, alive, constantly evolving. Polarity is not a prison. It's a map, a tool, a divine language that helps you understand what you're feeling, what you're choosing, and where you're going. And here's the most exciting part. Once you learn to recognize polarity, you can begin to master it, to shift your emotional state, to turn chaos into clarity, to use every low as a launch pad for a higher high. But how do we actually navigate this dance of opposites that is where the next hermetic principle comes in, the law of vibration? But for now, remember this: every time you feel torn between two extremes, you are not broken. You are simply being invited into awareness. You're standing at the crossroads of growth, and the law of polarity is offering you a choice not to escape the tension, but to rise within it. This is the divine dance, and you're part of it. Previously, we uncovered how opposites like light and dark, joy and pain, are not enemies but sacred reflections of the same essence. Now let's journey deeper beyond emotion and philosophy into the very fabric of reality. Because polarity doesn't just shape what we feel, it forms what we are. It shapes matter, energy, and the entire infrastructure of the universe. And at the core of it all, the atom, the foundation of everything in the material world. Every rock, every star, every breath you take is the atom. And within that atom lies a brilliant demonstration of polarity in its purest form. At the center of this tiny universe is the proton, carrying a positive charge, a force of cohesion, pulling the structure together, stabilizing its core. Surrounding it is the electron, holding a negative charge, ever moving, ever dynamic, spiraling around the nucleus, generating motion and energy. These two opposites, one anchored, one in motion, don't repel each other. They don't cancel each other out. Instead, they create harmony. They need each other to exist. Without this perfect dance between positive and negative, matter itself couldn't form. Atoms would collapse or repel, molecules couldn't bond, and without molecules, life would be impossible. From the oxygen we breathe to the burning brilliance of distant galaxies, the structure of the cosmos is held together by this sacred polarity. But it doesn't stop there, because everything, absolutely everything in existence, is made of energy. And energy too moves through this polarity, guided by another law, the law of vibration. Every expression of energy, every wave of light, every transmission of sound, every emotion in your body vibrates at a certain frequency. And that vibration determines where the energy falls on the spectrum of polarity. In fact, this is how duality takes form. Opposites emerge through the oscillation of vibrations, swinging like a pendulum between two poles. Nowhere is this more visible or more powerful than in electromagnetic waves, the very fabric of our modern technological world. These waves are not abstract. They're the reason your phone works. Your Wi-Fi, your GPS, your television, even the light illuminating your room. They all rely on a delicate polarity in motion. Electromagnetic waves are composed of two fields: the electric field oscillating between positive and negative charges, and the magnetic field shifting between north and south poles. These fields, dancing together in constant rhythm, carry energy through space. They don't travel in straight lines. They ripple like waves on the surface of the ocean, transporting signals, light, heat, and information. That invisible Wi-Fi signal. It's polarity in action, your phone call, your satellite navigation, all possible because of these oscillating fields. The only thing that changes between visible light, radio waves, or X-rays is their frequency and wavelength, two expressions of vibration. The higher the frequency, the closer we get to light. The lower the frequency, the more it sinks into heat, sound, and data. Even your own body is bathed in this invisible orchestra. Your brain sends electrical signals through neurons. Your heart emits an electromagnetic field measurable from several feet away. You are not separate from this polarity, you are made of it. You are it. Now consider electricity itself. Every time you turn on a light or charge your laptop, you're engaging in the polarity dance. Alternating current AC is a constant switch between positive and negative charges. This back and forth flow is what allows electricity to travel efficiently through wires. Without polarity, there would be no movement, no light, no heat, no sound, no life. Polarity is not just cosmic, it's practical. And when combined with the law of vibration, it becomes a powerful tool for transformation. Polarity shows us the spectrum, joy and grief, abundance, and lack, love and fear. Vibration, it moves us along that spectrum. It determines where we stand between the poles. Take temperature. What we call hot and cold aren't separate forces, they're just different degrees on the same scale. Change the vibration and you move from cold to warm to hot. And the same principle applies to everything. Let's apply it to life. Imagine you're in financial difficulty. You feel lack. Bills are piling up. The vibration of scarcity is low, heavy, draining. You're stuck at the lower end of the spectrum, but you're not trapped there because vibration can be shifted. How? By changing your thoughts, your feelings, your focus. Instead of dwelling on what's missing, you begin to express gratitude for what's already present. You start imagining abundance not as a distant dream, but as a reality already unfolding. And suddenly you begin to rise. Your frequency increases. You shift toward the polarity of wealth, not through denial, but through deliberate transformation. You align your vibration with prosperity, and what happens? You start attracting opportunities, insights, people who reflect that vibration. Is this magic? No, ma'am. It's the physics of energy. It's spiritual alchemy. Skepticalhood. Try it for yourself. Because this isn't about belief, it's about experience. The alchemist doesn't argue. They experiment. Try adjusting your vibration. Watch what unfolds. As Heraclitus wrote, struggle is the origin of all things. The tension between opposites, the fire of contrast is what fuels creation. Progress emerges not in comfort, but in conflict. Light is born from the friction of shadow. And this is the deeper truth. Your life is not meant to be void of challenge. It is designed with polarity so that you may grow, so that you may awaken. But here's the key. Don't cling to one pole and reject the other. That's not wisdom, that's resistance. True mastery lies in integration. When pain arises, don't run. So what is this here to teach me? When fear whispers, lean in and say, what truth is hiding behind this shadow? When joy floods in, receive it with open arms, knowing it too is part of the dance. The soul's greatest alchemy is not found in escape, but in union. Not in bypassing difficulty, but in finding balance through it. This is the sacred art of polarity, of learning to see the world not in black and white, but in infinite shades of divine contrast. Every relationship you form reflects this. Every decision you make, even the way you wake up in the morning, is polarity in motion. Stay in bed, comfort. Get up, discipline. Both exist. Both have value. But your awareness, that's the real power. You are not your emotions. You are not your problems. You are the consciousness that observes them, chooses how to respond, and navigates through the duality. So ask yourself today, what frequency am I aligned with? Am I vibrating with fear or with love? Am I tuning into lack or abundance? Because whatever you align with, you will attract more of it. The universe is not random. It is structured, intentional, and responsive to your inner state. You are not a victim of polarity. You are a co-creator. So what are you creating?